a whole lot. Trial, tribulation, but I know God.
Hey, Reg here, and welcome back to the blog. It's day 56 of my 60-day raw food challenge. We are just speeding towards the conclusion of this particular challenge, and things are going pretty well. I have to say, so I told you guys that I was doing this juice cleanse. I had a juice cleanse delivered for 3 days, and interestingly, one of the items in the juice cleanse is a pretty awesome broth. And I spoke to my friend who prepares the cleanse, and it's basically seaweed that's been soaked in, it's carrot juice, it's seaweed that's been soaked. She's pretty certain that it's considered raw, but she suggests that the broth be heated, but not ever boiled. And so I was having a little bit of thing like, should I consider the broth raw or not? And so I just broke down. I decided that having the broth was probably no different than having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, which may also not be considered raw, but it's really, really cold, and yesterday I was really, really cold. So I decided that I was just going to have the broth, and I even put a little bit of additional raw nori to kind of give it more body. So what have you? Again, this is a challenge that's not about a winning or a losing thing. It's about me giving myself a break from the monotony of all of the ways that a person can poison themselves or eat things that are just not healthy, and by focusing on just raw foods as close to their natural state as possible, it's really giving my system a bit of a break. And I feel like the results, I don't know if you who've been watching, you can go back and you can watch the videos at the beginning of the challenge, and you can watch the videos now, and you can decide for yourself whether I'm projecting more or less health than at the start. I'd have to go and visit my doctor, and I didn't do blood tests or anything like that, so it's just not that deep. It's just not that deep. But maybe that's something that I'll do in the future. However, I want to talk about, so yesterday I didn't do a shout out. I've been trying to do shout outs to other folks from other vegan channels, and my plan was to shout out Bite Size Vegan, who I really, I really kind of appreciate the way that she simplifies the message about veganism, the way she really tries to present. I don't know what she's trying to present, but one of her recent videos from about 5 days ago, when I'm recording this, it was 5 days before I'm recording this, was about honeybees and honeybee barf. And it was about honey, basically, and really explaining why it's bad to take honey from the bees. And I actually have a very good friend who's a beekeeper who I have purchased honey from in the past. I'm not trying not to have any honey on this during this raw food challenge, although I had the equivalent of a teaspoon of honey over the days that I was in Detroit. And I'm not saying that honey isn't necessarily bad and doesn't cause suffering for animals, but kind of to reduce the plight of bees to what happens with their honey is an oversimplification. There's an article actually that I found from Mother Jones from last April, from April of 2014, really discussing how the pollination services are also creating hive collapse and other problems with bees, and a lot of that has to do with the demand for almonds. So it seems that 80% of the almonds consumed on Earth hail from California, and about 70% of that output is exported. And the growing requires that they import the local pollinators aren't enough to handle the pollination of all of those crops. So, and it takes about 1.6 million honeybee hives to pollinate that crop. And about 1 million of that, so 1 million of 1.6 million, have to be trucked in from out of state. So, and that represents 60% of the managed honeybees in the entire country, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So there are an awful lot of the managed bees in the country that are being shipped to California to provide almonds. And I don't know if a lot of vegans out there are aware that their consumption of almonds is contributing to, abuse, mistreatment, the extinction of bees on the planet. So, not to knock Bite Size Vegan for talking about honey, it just, goes to show that sometimes the conversation about the food system is lopsided in favor of, there are things, it might be easy to give up honey, but it may not be so easy for some people to give up almonds. And what does it mean if we stop eating almonds? And it's just never as simple as it may seem on face value. And because you're living what appears to be a vegan lifestyle, it doesn't necessarily make you safe from contributing to the mistreatment of animals and having a negative impact on the planet. It's difficult to move without having some kind of an impact on the planet. And by not investigating deeply enough, you could be having adverse effects, even if you think you're, taking steps to actually do the opposite. So that's that. That's really it. Not going to spend a lot of time today, so just some food for thought. And, I will, so yes, a shout out to Bite Size Vegan for presenting some pretty, simple arguments that are even kid appropriate. But I just have to be a little critical that, that one particular post for me didn't go deep enough. There's some other things that I found a little that where they just didn't go deep enough. I just don't think, and it's not even a question that you have to go deep in every post, but to point out the fact that there's more to be understood about the issue and that one should continue to investigate. So that's that. I'm going to move on to my music selection for today, and I want to recommend Lizzo, who is apparently a Detroit native who is now, I believe, living in Minneapolis. And Humanize dropped a single called, Lizzo dropped a single called Humanize that I want to recommend to all of you, and I hope that I'm able to include a link to that here as part of this post. That's really it. I hope I'm keeping it short and sweet today. This is Reg checking out on day 56 of my 60-day raw food challenge. I hope you have a great day. Love yourself. Peace.
And I love myself.
The world is a ghetto with big guns and dick inside.
I love myself.